Thank you, Godfrey. Good afternoon, everyone. A warm welcome to day 2 of our webinar series celebrating engineering achievements, driving sustainability. My name is Khotatso Tsigani, and I'm honored to be your facilitator today. I currently serve as the CESA YPF South, Gauteng South chairperson, and I work as a civil engineer at GLS Consulting, focusing on water, sewer, and stormwater infrastructure master planning for municipal services. I have only 5 years of experience in the industry, but I'm deeply passionate about the role engineering plays in shaping a sustainable future. Today's session is especially exciting as we celebrate a remarkable engineering achievement right here in SA. As many of you know, World Engineering Day for Sustainable Development is celebrated annually on the 4th of March. And this emphasizes the pivotal role engineering plays in achieving the United Nations Sustainability, the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. Pardon me. While the official event took place last week, at the UNESCO headquarters in Paris, featuring keynote speakers, leaders from governments, scientists, entrepreneurs. We believe South Africa's engineering milestones deserve just as much as recognition. That's why we have to keep the celebration going. We want to turn it into a celebration month, World Engineering Month. As you know, some of you know, last week we took a deep dive into the Zandvlei wastewater treatment works upgrade, which also won the mega project over 1 billion rand category at the 2024 CESA Aeon Awards. This week's session is proudly brought to you by Consulting Engineers South Africa, CESA. CESA is an organization dedicated to promoting engineering excellence and sustainability. CESA plays a vital role in fostering collaboration, driving innovation, and ensuring knowledge sharing within the industry. Not only that, but they also invest in our country's future leaders through the CESA Young Professionals Forum. The YPF consists of young professionals who are passionate about engineering and passionate about the engineering industry, and are also interested in ensuring the development, growth, and promotion of the profession. This will ensure the sustainability of engineering skills in the country. So a special thank you to CESA. And without our CESA YPF sponsors, this event would not be happening. We thank the CESA YPF sponsors for their unwavering commitment to supporting young professionals and securing the future of engineers and engineering in South Africa. Now, let's dive right into today's highlights. We are thrilled to celebrate the Southern Corridor Phase 1 Farm 694 Kosovo Housing Development, which recently won in the category for projects valued between 250 million and 1 billion at the 2024 CESA Aeon Engineering Excellence Awards. These prestigious awards recognize outstanding achievements in engineering, celebrating innovation, impact, and technical excellence. The Southern Corridor Phase 1 project is a shining example of engineering's power to drive social change, to encourage collaboration, and it's an achievement that truly embodies the spirit of sustainable development. With that, I will now introduce our wonderful speakers for today's webinar. Our first speaker will be giving us some insight into today's proceeding is Malani. Malani is a Chief Executive Officer of MPAMOT. She is a member of the Global Leadership Forum Advisory Panel, the International Federation of Consulting Engineers, FEDIC. She's also a member of the Engineering Advisory Board at the University of Pretoria. She is a member of the working committee at the BRICS Women's Business Alliance. Amazing. As the founder and chief executive officer, Melanie leads MPAMOT as a successful high-performance company with a diverse, equitable, and inclusive culture and a strong client-centric with a focus on service excellence. She is an exemplary professional engineer and has won the coveted CESA Civil Engineer of the Year award, reflecting the industry's recognition. As a member of the International Federation of Consulting Engineers, in the Global Leadership Forum Advisory Panel, and the aforementioned forums, she continues to spearhead transformation in the industry. She creates awareness about engineering as a career, mentors young engineers and newcomers in the industry, as well as entrepreneurs that are venturing into their own consultancies. Our second speaker is Dutoit. Dutoit is a professional engineer with over 30 years of experience in a commercial and housing infrastructure development, roads, and solid waste projects. He has an extensive experience in all stages of civil engineering projects, from inception, design, tender documentation, contract administration, contract law, construction monitoring, and project management. He is also a professional construction project manager and a member of CESA. He has acted as a project manager and contracts engineer on various WSP-related projects in terms of the GCC, FIDIC, and NEC. He has experience in all civil engineering disciplines with expertise in stormwater master planning studies, including hydraulic and hydrology studies, floodline determination, utilizing software packages such as PC-SWIM, HECRAS, and HEC-HMS. He has also experience in optic fiber installation and solid waste and landfill closure project. He plays a key role as a technical director and lead for the WSP Cape Town Civil Office, responsible for projects and financial commercial management. Amazing. We are really in store for a wonderful presentation today. Our third speaker is Eberhard. Eberhard is a qualified civil engineer with a Bachelor Engineering in Civil, Bachelor BCom, and a Master's in Engineering. He has 45 years of experience and related educational background in project management, traffic and transportation, and the design and site supervision of roads and stormwater, as well as rails and municipal services. He also has experience as a branch officer manager for a consulting company until he was transferred to the head office, where he has been the regional manager of the Western Cape office for MPAMOT for the past 12 years. I will now hand over to our first speaker, Melanie. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Tutatso. Good afternoon, everyone. I trust I am audible.
Yes, you are.
Show of hands. Okay, excellent. Thank you, everyone, for joining us this afternoon. And we are privileged to be with you to be able to showcase our winning project for the 2024 year. I want to just state, I'm going to quickly share my screen and kick off. Okay, are you able to see the screen?
Not yet. Now we can see it.
Okay, perfect. Once again, thank you all for joining us this afternoon. And in keeping with our theme of Engineering Month, and I like that, World Engineering Month, we would like to showcase our Farm 694 Kosovo Housing Development to you. As Tatso has rightly stated, there's just not myself that's in this presentation, but I'm accompanied by two of my esteemed colleagues who will actually take you through a lot of the technical elements of the project. So very quickly, in terms of a project outline, we're going to cover just a short introduction, details around the project, the team, some of the partnerships and collaborative initiatives, some of the planning initiatives, and then we're going to go into the real technical details around the construction, the complexities around it, and some of the challenges that we've experienced, and how the team have actually overcome those challenges, and then a short conclusion. I would like to just very quickly put the project in context in terms of location. The project, as you are all aware, is located in the Western Cape. It is the Kosovo informal settlement, which consisted of a number of consolidated stands to be able to ensure that the population of both Kosovo as well as the Woodlands community could potentially be housed in one particular location. From a locality perspective, it is located north of the R300 and sorry, I'm just toggling north of the R300 and immediately west of the Philippi Police Academy. The properties are close to the R300 Jakes Cravel Drive on M7 intersection and immediately adjacent to the Philippi station. In 2019, when we started actively looking at the first phase of the project, there were 6,500 households on 21.4 hectares of land, a very highly dense composition of households on a very a large stand. However, the intent was to then ensure that we were able to actually accommodate these residents at a slightly lower density of 120 units per hectare. With the land available, it was obvious that we would only be able to accommodate 2,600 units on them, which meant that the remaining 3,900 families would need to be located on alternate land in subsequent phases. In terms of the collaborative initiatives that have emanated from this, the Kosovo Informal Settlement project was one of 18 priority projects that the City of Cape Town identified to actually look at housing issues within the Western Cape. The Southern Corridor Phase 1, which was Farm 694 Kosovo Housing project, comprised of both internal as well as external civil and bulk engineering services, and 434 households, housing units, which actually qualified for the National Housing Subsidy Scheme. The project team that actually executed this is shown on your screen, and it comprised of various individuals within the built environment professional space. And this particular project could not have been actioned just because of all the complexities associated with a lot of the initial planning stages without the joint effort of the project team in terms of executing. The other point that's worth also looking at is the collaboration, the project partnerships and collaboration initiative that had to be implemented during the execution. Whilst this was predominantly a housing project, the effort and the involvement of the City of Cape Town, particularly in the bulk infrastructure that allowed us to unblock the housing project, was substantial. And it was a very close collaboration between the City of Cape Town and the Department of Human Settlements, which is now called the Department of Infrastructure, which actually allowed the project to be realized. In terms of the initial planning phases, as I indicated, the construction start was in September 2019. However, this particular project goes back a few years because there was a lot of interventions that had to be done during the initial planning stages of the project, particularly around the interventions associated with the communities. You can imagine that it was a highly dense area with a number of households in backyard shacks, etc., occupying 21 hectares of land. And as a result, a lot of matters pertaining to community interventions had to be addressed. And the elements associated with those stakeholder engagements was something that needs to really be applauded in this particular initiative. There were numerous engagements, and it culminated in at least the first phase of the project, besides the bulk infrastructure that my team will be chatting to you about, the bulk infrastructure interventions. It allowed for the first phase of the project to be implemented successfully. What did the project entail? As I've indicated to you earlier, it comprised of the bulk infrastructure around the development, and which included bulk sewer, bulk water, bulk stormwater, the roads, the external roads, and then obviously everything internal to the development itself. And my colleagues will be taking you through the details around some of the issues that had to be addressed during the implementation phase. And then obviously it culminated with the eventual top structures. I'm now going to hand over to my colleague, Engineer Du Toit Carstens. If I can hand over to you, Du Toit.
Thanks a lot. Du Toit Carstens from WSP. As Melania has now introduced the project and the background and the history, me and Ebrard is more going to focus on just describing basically the implementation and what has been constructed. In MPAMOT has been appointed by the Western Cape Government Department of Human Settlements. As indicated now, it is infrastructure. For the civil engineering services, it's a 60%, 40% split. To ensure a split, we looked at the sort of the water and the sewer design. Internal bulk will be with WSP, and the roads and stormwater internal bulk with MPAMOT. MPAMOT also took on the stage 5 supervisor role as per NEC. And for our services in the construction phase. So yeah, the planning and design include for all the various approvals for all the City of Cape Town departments, and a lot of collaboration between WSP, MPAMOT, and the Western Cape Department of Housing, as well as owner and client of the services that has been constructed. Ebrard will discuss the other services, but I will briefly touch on the water and the sewer services. That's internal services, then the bulk, as Melania has indicated, the bulk developments, first Farm 694, and then the rest. So the bulk water line is basically the provider for about 650 meters of a 315 diameter water strengthening line along the nearest ice lemon, upgrading or strengthening the existing network present 694. Then the next portion we've been involved is the bulk sewer lines. For the bulk sewer lines, there was upgrade 1,250 meters of the existing 900 millimeter DL sewer pipeline had to be upgraded to a 1,200 millimeter DL concrete sewer outfall line, which has been lined with HDPS AKS lining. If you know the area, and then also there's an upgrade that was required for about 1.15 kilometers from the existing 900 diameter to a bigger size, a 1350. Also to a concrete sewer outfall. Park Avenue, then further on to the wastewater treatment, Mitchell's Plain wastewater treatment works. But further, the project includes for structures for this sewer line, which was quite big, as you can see on the picture on the right-hand side below. It's about 11 by 5 meters sand trap that has been constructed. The pictures on the top also indicate the 1350 pipelines that is AKS lined, and also a top view from a manhole that goes about 8 meters deep. We also had to upgrade about 110 meters of an existing 970 millimeters stormwater line. The reason being that the area is naturally very, the slopes are very shallow, and there was a clash of the existing. And therefore, we had also to micro-tunnel the stormwater line to ensure that it doesn't clash with the 1350. The pictures on the right provide for the sheet piling where the micro-tunneling starts, and you can also see below the excavated pushing in the sheet piles into the ground. Okay, so the way this has been done, both the sewer lines and the bulk stormwater line, is with trenchless technologies. So WSP utilized one of the contractors that tendered, and appointed was Power Smart JV. We utilized the alternative tender offer for micro-tunneling by a specialist subcontractor, CSV Construction, as you can all see on the right-hand side picture. Now, the reason for deciding on to go the micro-tunneling of the trenchless technology and also reduce major risk to the community and the project because it will cause limited excavation. If you to go open excavation, it will cause major traffic disruptions, also including disruptions that will have to be closed for the construction periods. And the alignment of the bulk sewer goes through schools, parks, and major roads. The other big advantage of trenchless technology is to allow for improved tolerances, sands of 50 and horizontal 100. With the trenchless technology, you get like a 25 both vertical and horizontal, and there's very flat gradients where the gradient was 0.053%. Give a bit of a background on how the micro-tunneling boring machine work, or the TBM is in the picture right in the middle. You'll see the red portion is the cutting edge of the wheel. You get like for soft faces, intermediate and hard for rocks. In this case, where we were in the Mitchell's Plain area, sand, so we used the soft face. Then the micro-tunneling machine is followed by the second portion, which is the concrete pipes that goes into the shaft, and then which follow or trails the tunneling machine. And right at the back is the hydraulic jacks, which push this whole system forward while the head the wheels is cutting. So the overcut of the heads with then the audit, you see the green and the blue lines. The green lines pump bentonite slurry to the head for the cutting, and then it's then with the excavated, the cutted material is returned with the balloon line back to up there where the hydraulics and the pumps is sitting, the generators and the pumps. Further, that is very important on these machines is the laser technology that's used. So it allows for very good traction of the design. Also very important is you've got an operator, as you can see the operator standing here in his little cabin. And the operator monitors the digital readout. And if you see there's a deviation from the design, you need to steer it up or down. Other big, the micro tunneling machine or boring machine, you could do it remotely, and you can also do it at 24-hour shifts. And the micro tunneling in COVID period, we did that remotely from Germany for a while. So on the micro tunneling, the process, just to give a high level indication, this is one of the sections on the project. You can see to the right hand side the square red block there is and there's one on the left as well. The receiving shafts, they're basically made up as on the top picture with steel sheet poles that's driven in and excavated, and then they lower the micro tunneling machine into the receiving pit. Then and these shafts, the receiving and the launching pits, is placed where the manhole is going to be. In this case, the maximum they can go 180 meters. The specific section was a bit less, but in spine road we use 180 meters. So you jacking for 180 meters to the left, and at the receiving shaft they take the micro tunneling machine out, put it back into the shaft on the right, and then it drills 180 meters to the other side, where it's then recovered. And the last thing that is important is that because it's 180 meters right in the middle of those two shafts, then we excavated and constructed the intermediate manhole from the top. There was the video, Melanie.
Toy, you can proceed. I'll show those videos at the end.
Yeah, I will. Okay, I will just continue then. So
Thanks.
yeah, so then on the micro tunneling in this project, we have done the bulk sewer lines micro tunnel 2.5 kilometers, and the stormwater was 110 meters, and to date it is to be constructed within South Africa with the micro tunneling method. Okay. Melanie is just going to show us a video now, or are you going to show it right at the end?
We'll do it right at the end, Toy. We can carry on.
To the I can speak to the inspections as well. I just shared some photos here. As you can see, this right in the middle of the median, there's a manhole. If you go down, these manholes are quite big, they're 8 meters. And as you can see, there's some stepping irons. This is when we did the inspection, we marked them up and we provided this information to the contractor to rectify. This is some other inspection photos, just showing the order of magnitude. Person climbing up out of the manhole. And then also here within the manhole, people standing in the manhole, and far to the right is the guy doing the inspection within the pipes. Only then this influence of WSP as a consulting engineer on the project is basically it was for design assurance. We've also been the design lead input during construction. We provided constant input during construction, basically for the bulk and water and sewer. So there was constant and continuous design changes because of unknown services, and we had to revise that on a daily basis. And we also used the digital engineering like Civil 3D and BIM 360 to get that. Western Cape Government and City of Cape Town and the contractor, which is specifically the specialist contractor CSV, to ensure we get our approvals. We ensure that to get progress even within the COVID period, and also tying in the existing to the new with a lot of capacity issues at the wastewater treatment work. And then specifically, we had very good relationships with the City of Cape Town bulk sewer reticulation department, which ensured that we could successfully implement. And the other thing that was very important is the reporting on health and safety, specifically during site visits, if we found or see something that was not right. So thanks a lot.
Good afternoon, Eberhard von St. Ange here. I'll be covering the MPAMOT Africa portion of the project, which consisted of mainly the internal services and top structure, and then some external road upgrades. The internal services consisted of surfaced roads with curb and sidewalks, and stormwater drainage and stormwater management retention dam, a fully reticulated water supply and wastewater drainage system, which was designed by WSP, and then also ducts for electrical services. This is if you look at the two pictures, the top one is where we brought in, we did bulk earthworks. That is to at least generate some slope on the project. And the bottom one is the start of the retention pond, stormwater retention pond, which has to be done on all City of Cape Town projects. That is to ensure that the post-development flow, due to the hardening of all the services, does not exceed the pre-development flows. Then we've got a picture here of some bulk roads and intersection upgrade. On the right-hand side at the top, you will be able to see the top structures, and a lift out onto New Eisleben was constructed with a lengthening of the median, as the local population did not want all the traffic to go through to the township along Walter Bathurst Road. And then on the next slide, we've got the signalization of Hans Ascherborn and New Eisleben. Both the lift out construction and this signalization was requested by the city traffic department. Here's just some pictures of roadworks and more roadworks. And then designed by Element Consulting Engineers. The electrical installation was also done during the contract, and so there were 3 mini substations and then the low voltage underground reticulation to metering kiosks, and then also service connection to each house, and there were also street lighting done. These are models of the top structure. You will see on the left-hand side, that's a single story, which was designed for disabled, elderly people, as these that don't have stairs. And on the right-hand side, you'll see 2 examples of top structure with duplex top structures. This is just a image showing where the foundation was marked out. This is an images. On the left-hand side, you will see the single story with the front door. You've got front door on the, sorry, apologies, front door on this side with the lounge kitchen, 1 bedroom and 2 bedroom, and the bathroom. The right-hand side, you've got the double story. The middle one is the ground floor, and the top one is the right-hand side is the top floor. This Kosovo, or let's put it this way, the Western Cape is a seismic zone, and what was important is that we designed to seismic codes, and that is why you will see these starter bars with the orange caps on them, and they go up into the walls for a portion. It's just it's a picture of a ground floor unit with, if you on the left hand side, you will see these expansion joints, and also on the front there are also expansion joints in case of movements. There's a picture of the completed top structures. One important factor of this project was that the color scheme of the houses was decided in conjunction with the local population, which made this a very appealing project. On the screen, you've got some of the budget details, and we have also, we've got the Southern Corridor Phase 1. That's a client was the Western Cape Government Department of Human Settlements. It's now Department of Infrastructure. Consultants, WSP, MPAMOT and WSP. The contractors, PowerSmart JV. Commencement date September 2019, and the completion in August 2023. So it's nearly 4 years. Unfortunately, there were many hiccups along the project, and which extended the timeline as well as increased the value. Original contract was just below 300 million, and it ended up at 381 million. And that was due to compensation events, for instance, COVID, change of scope, additional survey for bulk sewer, change in bulk sewer design, which Du Toit mentioned, change in the mini subsizes, revised bulk water layout, revised sewer drawings, top structure price increase, and micro-tunning the drive for the stormwater line. some of these I've mentioned before, but we had staged completion, and the access date for the contractor was, as indicated, 16 September 2019. The internal services and underground municipal services was completed in February 2021. The bulk water line was completed in August 2021. Hans Ascherbon intersection, the signalization thereof was done in October 22. Bulk sewer was completed in February 2023. And the last item was a top structure, which was completed in August 2023. Marlene? Marlene, over to you.
Thanks,
Right.
Eberhard. Thank you. Eberhard has indicated some of the timelines, but maybe I think it's also important to note that a number of the GIB functioned as the project managers on this particular project. And the collaboration between MPA and WSP in terms of the coordination between the activities, as we have demonstrated through this project, they were intricately linked in many respects, and our ability to be able to collaborate and share the initiatives to ensure a project that both companies are extremely proud of having implemented together was critically important. So in terms of the reporting, both to the client and the delivery thereof, as well as ensuring that whilst the budgets were exceeded, we managed that process exceptionally well, especially relating to the COVID impact, etc. So on the social side, I think it's important for us to actually highlight some of the other elements that we generally don't necessarily speak of very often as engineers. And I think it actually started with the interaction and the stakeholder engagements with the various communities. As we have rightly indicated, this was bringing together of two very distinct communities, that was in the Kosovo community as well as the Woodlands community, into one particular area. So it was so they were like bold initiatives that were made in terms of the stakeholder engagement. I also wanted to, at this point, just stress, despite the various challenges we faced on the project during execution, the interaction between WSP and MPAMOT in terms of ensuring design assurance right at the initial stages, all the way from concept and having to value engineer on multiple occasions. The contributions by both parties were immense in ensuring that we ended up with a final project. We also looked very extensively in terms of the contractor capability, and both parties reviewed these quite extensively in terms of the contractor's past experience and track record, and it was a joint initiative. In terms of supply chain robustness, the team reviewed the supply chain robustness to ensure that equipment with long lead times, in this instance, such as the tunneling equipment, etc., was procured well in advance, so that it didn't necessarily impact on the critical path in any negative way. And then I want to highlight the capacity building and training. I think that what occurred on this particular project was phenomenal, because there was a very, very deliberate attempt to ensure that the local communities were actually empowered in not just, just participating in the project, but it was sustainable employment opportunities. So there was a huge emphasis and effort to ensure that the local communities were empowered. There was something in the order of about 31 million of contract value, which amounted to about 10%, 10.85%, that actually ended up within the local community. It was a huge contribution, and the skills that were imparted were actually at multiple fronts. It was whether it was in the actual construction initiative and activities like concrete handling. There was also a lot of soft skills like computer literacy, and even to the extent of snake handling and health and safety awareness. So there was a substantial initiative to ensure that the local community was empowered and also educated in multiple areas from a training perspective. The reliability of the construction schedule was reviewed on an ongoing basis. And as I rightly indicated, a lot of the critical parts were identified well in advance, and we mitigated risk around that. The project impact in terms of local procurement spend, about 31 million was retained within the community. There were 36 QSEs and EMEs that evolved from this project, which is absolutely phenomenal. And it is because of a very considered effort in terms of ensuring that there was participation at all levels. And I would like to just conclude that and as you are seeing, that this is the culmination of what we actually did in the area. It creates a sense of community. It creates a sense of integration of two very different communities as well in a single space. And it certainly, is leading up to how we should be rolling out, such developments. But one needs to also recognize that none of these developments would actually be able to be initiated if we don't sort out bulk infrastructure. So a substantial amount of funding was actually committed, and it was a remarkable feat by the city of Cape Town to actually have committed to ensuring that we were able to unblock the parcels of land with the bulk infrastructure investment that they made on this project. In terms of, it also is worth mentioning the alignment between the different role players and how the project was, initiated with serious collaboration by all parties. I think it's also important that in terms of fighting corruption, because, a very common subject matter now or point of conversation is related to the impact of the construction mafia, etc. I think that the project reflects a very clear commitment to zero tolerance to corruption and a commitment to integrity management, and protocols and systems for procurement was followed meticulously by all parties. So I think that in itself, is a huge success in terms of the project delivery. We also, in terms of achieving efficiencies, the skills of both MPAMOT as well as WSP were combined, and we dealt in terms of the project rollout in a very considered way and utilized the best of both entities to be able to deliver very successfully. I just want to also take this opportunity to just summarize very quickly and highlight some of the project's key achievements. I think the one is the fact that despite the challenges that were imposed by the pandemic, we successfully delivered the project with very strict timelines, although one might argue that it was extended, but rightly so, it was extended on a well-substantiated reason in terms of the adjudication of the claims, etc., that were presented. The project certainly allowed for an inclusive and equitable development where local community households can gain access to housing in a very, very dignified way. The successful implementation of the project is one of the first where 50% of the households came from Woodlands community and 50% came from the Kosovo community. I've indicated this to you previously, but can you imagine two different communities coming to live in one particular area? it also is probably indicative of what needs to happen in many other instances where that integration is almost kind of indirectly forced upon individuals. But the outcome could be something quite phenomenal. And I believe that the impact of this project is far greater than just providing the housing. It definitely lays the foundation for improved access to services, an enhanced sense of safety and security, privacy, and most importantly, inclusion in a very integrated form. Thank you all for being part of this webinar. But before I end, I wanted to just quickly show you the very, let me just quickly, I can just click on to the, there's a very short video clip of the micro-tunneling that I thought should be benefit to the audience. And if I can just maybe quickly just share that with you before we field questions.
Whilst you're doing that, Melanie, I'd like to encourage everyone to just ask any questions in the Q&A bot or in the comment section.
I'm not sure if you can see this.
We can see the video. You can just maximize it.
The micro. Okay, I think we're going to have to probably. We can send the video clip out with the slides.
But we could see the video. We just had to maximize it for the whole screen.
The pipe.
The micro tunneling video, we could see it, yes.
Can you?
Mm-hmm. Would you like to share it again, or you will share it when we
sorry, I
send
thought I
out
was
the
sharing. My
presentation?
humble apologies. I thought I was sharing.
No, it's all right.
I have to. For whatever reason, something's not working here now. Not so. Maybe we could field questions, and I can send the clip with.
Okay, no problem. Thank you so much for that wonderful presentation. Very insightful. I learned a lot of things today that I was not aware of before. And it just goes to show how engineering can play such a pivotal role in sustainability and improving the lives of the people in this country. So I will first start on the Q&A bot. There are 4 questions. I'm just going to read them out and then you can respond, and then we'll go to the next one if that's okay. Or would you like me to read through all 4 questions? I'll just go one question at a time. The first question is, how did the project teams, WSP and MPAMOT, collaborate on their design models to ensure alignment of all design elements? Which digital system was used for modeling coordination? And what challenges arose while using it? And what alternative methods were implemented to enhance the collaboration? Quite a few questions in one, but I'm not sure who would like to answer this.
Eberhard or Toy?
Yes. Both, Eberhard speaking, both WSP and MPAMOT used different platforms, WSP Civil 3D and MPAMOT Civil Designer. They are quite interchangeable. So we did not have any problem with regards to that. And also we split the disciplines. WSP did all water and sewer, and MPAMOT did all stormwater and roads.
So I can just come in there as well, Everard. So basically, as we were doing, I see there's another question also on that. For 3D, so that is then quite easy, as most of the packages and platforms, to make changes during construction due to whatever you pick up, and there's critical, and you can't waste time. So we've used the civil 3D, and Everard said with they've been used, and we split the services, so it made it easier. I think we've mentioned BIM, but in this specific, we didn't do BIM models. We do BIM models as well for the existing services and what we design. And then this specific project, we used BIM 360, which was basically used for some of the contract admin and moving information around.
Thank you.
That sufficient. Thanks.
All right. There weren't any clashes between the different services in terms of stormwater pipe at a certain gradient going right through a water pipe, for example.
We show that, but that was the different the bulks that we were involved, and Everard with the bulk roads, and the stormwater wasn't the same area, so it was unfortunately wasn't an issue.
Cool. Wonderful, thank you so much. The next question, if I could ask the speakers to please keep their cameras on. The next question is, was the electrical design done by yourselves as well?
No, the electrical design was done by Element Consulting Engineers.
Yes. The next question is, how were social interfaces managed in the project? I am assuming that they are trying to ask in terms of the community engagements.
There was a project steering committee which handled most of that. Us as the professional team, we were sometimes called on into those meetings, but normally not.
I think maybe just to add to that, that committee was set up right at the start of these projects. So the stakeholder engagement and interventions happen even at the conceptual stages of the project. So understanding and knowing what the community needs were critical to the success of this, more so because you were kind of bringing together two different communities.
Thank you so much for that. The next question is, please explain a bit on the failure you experienced. Also, what was the financial implications to the continuous changes to the design?
Sorry, I don't totally understand what you mean by failure.
I think they should just clarify, if you could just clarify in the chat, but my interpretation would be the challenges of the project you experienced in terms of the financial implications. We did see that COVID-19 was a big one. And just to follow up on that question, I just wanted to find out, were there any issues with vandalism on any of the infrastructures that you guys were building throughout the construction progress?
Due to the many subcontractors working on the top structures, there were some, but not major. And I don't think there were any on the bulk sewer, did we?
was none during construction. There was no vandalism. Afterwards is different, but yeah, during construction, I think it was all good. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much. And I think there was a slide where you guys broke down the issues, the major challenges that you guys had, and the initial the initial budget versus what it came up to.
Yeah, I think maybe just to add to that, some of the besides the COVID pandemic, there were changes to the substation. There were obviously additional surveys required for the bulk water line. There were some revisions to the bulk water layouts. So that's just a summary of some of the potential challenges that the team experienced that resulted in the expenditure ending up where it was.
Okay. I see they have clarified, and they were talking about failure in terms of technical challenges. And were there any financial implications to the continuous design changes?
Yeah, can I just, coming maybe for more clarification, maybe we can just show that slide again, but I don't think it's really necessary. I mean, there has been a lot of changes, and those changes, as just been indicating, is basically COVID, but we kept on implementing during COVID. And second to that is there's a lot of existing services. We have done 2 full surveys on that site prior to commencement, but notwithstanding that, all the business, you will know that the first thing when you start doing something, you need to check what is the existing services. Which of course you will always have clashes. But so what we've done and the surveys, and when we started construction, then we found a lot of new services, and we found that so that causes the constant, and I think another thing that's critically important here is that specifically on the bulk sewer line, you are fixed because you start up in Marindale where you've got a level, and then for 2.5 kilometers you tie in the wastewater treatment works, which has a fixed level. So you don't have any play. So, and the original line was running at a specific position. So we had to allocate the new line as close as possible, but you can't get to it. So you do have various challenges in the existing sewer to the new line. So I think that is not all undone. We try to our best in the planning phases to sort of make provision, but as the project and the magnitude, and I think very important changes.
Okay. Sorry, you were breaking there a bit, but thank you so much. I think the next question, I think you have answered a portion of this, Du Toit. It says, during the presentation, there was a mention of unknown existing services. Would the cost of a full service detection of the whole site have been cheaper than the cost of resulting from the existing services? Also, how could this have been avoided from the start of the project?
Yeah, I think I tried to indicate, we did 2 full surveys on that site prior to commencement. Unfortunately, when you excavate and you start the project, you find other services which is not part of existing services as per the City of Cape Town available. So we survey them, and some of that, as I've said, even those are not correct. Yeah. And the services are not always picked up. They are covered under existing other stuff like, so that a different way, it is a good question. What could we do to sort of there is there's not much. I mean, Ibrahim can vouch during construction, then he phoned us, he tells us there's issues here. The service was indicated, but the levels are not right. These services is totally unknown. So yeah, but I think if you the big issue there was COVID, and then the bulk stormwater line. And the stormwater line information from server and city was incorrect. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
I think
I'll move to
just
the-
to add to what Detoy says, it's common, you know, these issues with services information being inaccurate, particularly with many of the municipalities, is something that one does need to contend with on a regular basis on projects. If there is more emphasis in the upfront work on projects, and more expenditure, you know, in terms of even our percentage-based fees, if there was almost like a front-end loading scenario where you were able to invest a lot more upfront and be able to you know, execute your duties more thoroughly, and maybe even with more sophisticated equipment that's not necessarily in country at present, it would actually assist a lot with mitigating risk as the project emerges. There's one question here, Tatso, and I'm not sure, and I'm just being mindful of time because whilst I have the mic, it was regarding what other community areas were created. And if I can maybe just very quickly respond to that. Whilst the video and maybe some of the project photos does not necessarily demonstrate the common areas, this was intended to be an integration of two communities. So as a result, there are a number of common areas, common play areas, etc., that were introduced into the environment. But as you know, we were intending to, you know, really relocating households from an intensely dense area. So the objective was to create housing in a very considered way. So whilst that was the priority, the planning around this, as was demonstrated by some of the videos, actually did allow for you know, common areas and grassed off areas, not substantial though. It would have been appropriate if it was a lot more, but then obviously if you want to introduce more grassed areas, etc., then we need substantial amount of land to be able to do that effectively. And interestingly enough, even the attenuation pond is a very nice, the stormwater retention pond on the facility is a very nice feature as well. And it's actually safeguarded by the fact that there's fencing around it, etc., so that young, you know, toddlers, etc., cannot end up in a dangerous situation there. But it is a very interesting feature in the development.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much for that. I think I'll just go to the chat box. I think I've read out all the questions in the Q&A bot. Detroit, how did BIM and Civil 3D assist with designs and timeframes?
Yeah, I think I've addressed that, but as you've said, the platform for rapid changes and to produce new designs to be issued to the site, to the supervisor, which then issue to the construction site. And that is Civil 3 portion 4, and the BIM is providing that information now. BIM information, so it wasn't BIM designed on this specifically project.
Thank you. I did note that you had answered that one. Ebhard, what contributions did the city make towards the bulk services?
The city required the bulk sewer upgrade and also the bulk water upgrade for future developments, and that was one of the prerequisites for this development. And the city of Cape Town funded those bulk upgrades. They didn't, and they found giving those two portions of the project into this project improved or helped with timeframes.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you for that. The next question is, this surely is a mega housing project. Did you at any point experience funding shortages from the client? And if so, what impact did it have on the development?
There were no funding shortages.
Good. Very rare. Very good. Interesting project, an application of available technologies. Concerned about the low gradient in the sewer line. Any obstructions to date? Any allowance for some landscaping, grass, trees? And what other community areas were created? That's what you have answered there. I think that one we are satisfied. Since there was lockdown during COVID, how did you deal with statutory approvals and stage gate approvals that were required for commencement of the respective stages in the project cycle?
Basically, if I can answer that, approvals, what we're discussing is the construction. So the approvals has been obtained prior to the construction. So that wasn't required. The COVID had no impact on that portion because that was done before construction commenced. Thanks.
Awesome. I just wanted to ask as well. I saw Malani, you mentioned that how many QMEs and SMEs were created during this project. Have there been any ongoing mentoring happening with those SMEs, QMEs since the project completion?
Not that I'm aware of, but because this is one phase of a much bigger scheme, the skills that they've acquired on this will certainly be utilized in the coming phases. I mean, this is just one element of a much, much bigger phase because we're having to address the remaining households. And I think the challenge at the moment is the identification of parcels of land and being able to get that transferred to the relevant authorities before implementation can start.
Okay, yeah.
They would definitely be utilized, yeah. And mind you, some of the soft skills that they've acquired would be applicable to any, not necessarily in just the construction sector. So there was a whole lot of computer literacy training, etc.
No, thank you, thank you. And you just answered my next question, which was around the soft skills and what was developed there. I don't see any other questions. Maybe I can ask, what was the major takeaway from the completion of this project that can be implemented for other infrastructure projects like this?
I think maybe you should ask each of us. So do you want me to kick off? And I think from my perspective, I think what was phenomenal was the integration of two different communities into one particular area. And, you know, and obviously all the stakeholder engagements and everything that occurred as a result of that. And I think that the other takeaway is that unless municipalities actually make a deliberate attempt to unblocking in the way of providing the right bulk infrastructure in areas, we're not going to be able to address some of the housing shortages, backlogs that we have currently. So it's imperative there must be a very considered and concerted effort to be able to ensure that bulk is in place. That would be my two takeaways. And I'm sure Eberhard and Du Toit have others to share.
Yeah, what I agree with what Malani said. What I found on this, that there was a very close cooperation between the community and the contracting team and the professional team. And that was one of the successes of this project. Thank you.
Troy, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, I think I just wanted to agree with the colleagues, and I think the important thing is the collaboration between the different consultants. But we basically had two clients. So we had the Western Cape government, which were funding this, and then we have the City of Cape Town, which is the owner of the infrastructure. So which made it a bit intriguing, because we are client, which is not the final owner of the infrastructure, but there was very well, I think the city assisted a lot, as I've also previously pointed out, specifically the sewer line or the distribution line department from city, to ensure that all city departments was onboarded to ensure approvals. So that was very good for me. And as Malani said, because if you don't construct or implement the bulk services, you can't do anything further. And those existing services, unfortunately, except for them that they were outdated, they were salted up, because it was previously designed with no sort of access to it. So it is a big, my long short take on it is a big benefit to all and the community to ensure further development. Thanks.
No, thank you. Thank you so much. And thank you to everyone today for joining this amazing webinar. I really am very impressed with the presentation and the collaboration between so many stakeholders on this project, and the ability to come out of COVID, because COVID really affected a lot of businesses and a lot of projects, and to come out from that and still produce something so wonderful and so just pushing us forward towards a more sustainable country, and trying to rectify some of these housing crises. It's really, really amazing to see. Thank you so much for this presentation today. I'd like to thank each of our speakers. Thank you very much. We've had a lovely session today. You've really delved into a lot of detail with this amazing project. And I'd like to commend you. I'm sure it was a very stressful time for you guys, but you guys have come out on top and have won the 2024 Aon Awards. So that says something. And that is a commendation from the industry itself. So congratulations, and thank you so much for taking your time out of your day today to come and spend it explaining to us what this project was all about. I'd like to just conclude and say thank you to CESA, thank you to the YPF sponsors as well. I'd like to just give you guys a heads up. Our future, our upcoming CESA events next week, Tuesday and Wednesday, is the CESA Infrastructure in Daba, very big conference. I'd like to see everybody's face there. And I'm overwhelmed with what I've learned today, so thank you. And I will close off today with a big smile and a big thank you.
Thank you.
Okay,
Bye.
thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Cheers.